The belly button shaper is now available in 5 countries, including the United States, where you can buy it in Walmart. Outbox and VivaLyf lost their co-founders, and Jouleshealth is making crores selling a 20 rupee energy drink across India. But let's start off with Shrawani Engineers, the company behind belly button shaping products Navel Fukai and Navel Sakuru, which was founded by Baldev and Jayshree in 2019. And on Shark Tank India, they were asking for 10 lakh rupees for 20% equity at a 50 lakh rupee valuation. They were selling these products at 650 rupees a piece and had done 4.8 lakh rupees in sales prior to going on Shark Tank India, meaning that they'd sold upwards of 700 units. The sharks did not take this company seriously, and Shrawani Engineers quickly became one of the most ridiculed businesses to take the Shark Tank India stage. But what went on behind the scenes? Well, in a LinkedIn post, Baldev said that he and Jayshree had to speak the script that was written for them by the Shark Tank India scriptwriters, and that it was this scriptwriting team that turned a pharma product into a fantasy product, with the opening line being, "What's your fantasy?" According to Baldev, this was not the way that he wanted to present his product, but he was made to do so on the show. The reason, according to him, is TRP, or target rating point, which is a metric used to measure a TV show's success. He believes that Shrawani Engineers was chosen out of 75,000 companies purely for entertainment purposes and not in good faith, but instead to ridicule his company for views. And this actually worked. On YouTube, Shrawani Engineers' pitch has 14 million views, and Baldev told me that their sales increased 100x after the show because of this surge in attention, to the point where they're now working with distributors in Chennai, Mumbai, Jabalpur, Delhi, and Bhopal. But their growth isn't limited to just the Indian market. You can now also buy Navel Fukai and Navel Sakuru in South Africa, Nepal, Bangladesh, and the United States, where I was surprised to learn that Shrawani Engineers is now selling belly button shapers in Walmart, specifically in a town called Secaucus in New Jersey. And to fuel this global expansion, Baldev and Jayshree ended up raising 35 lakh rupees in capital from a US-based investor. While Shrawani Engineers has set its sights on international markets, this next company is doing the opposite. They've gone from being an online-only metropolitan city-focused brand to being spread out across 20,000 stores in India, venturing deep into Tier 2 and Tier 3 markets. And this all happened after their Shark Tank India episode aired. Jouleshealth was started in Bengaluru in 2017 by Siddharth Mishra and Utkarsh Tewari as a beverage company selling vitamin-filled energy drinks with no sugar. And the brand name under which these drinks were being sold was NOCD, which stands for No Carbs Drink. And the sharks liked this business, but they didn't like the brand name. In spite of this though, Jouleshealth was able to secure a commitment from one shark. They were asking for 50 lakh rupees for 2% equity at a 25 crore rupee valuation, but after some negotiating, Vineeta Singh was able to talk them down to 20 lakh rupees in normal capital and 30 lakh rupees in debt for 15% of the company instead of the original offer of 2%. And everything seemed to be going well, but there was a catch, because remember how I mentioned earlier that the sharks didn't really like the name NOCD? Well, that ended up costing Vineeta the entire deal, because after the episode aired and Jouleshealth saw their monthly revenue double to 40 lakh rupees per month, Siddharth and Utkarsh decided that they didn't really want to change the name, and they didn't really need the 50 lakh rupee investment from Vineeta anymore, so they decided to walk away from the deal. But that's not where the story ends, because when Jouleshealth's revenue doubled, this was actually kind of anticlimactic for them. Their website was seeing a 1,000% surge in search traffic, but their sales weren't growing at the same extreme rate as this traffic. And when I asked Siddharth why he thinks this happened, his answer was very straightforward. He said that their initial strategy of selling only online had been holding them back for years, because by and large, Indian consumers were buying drinks from kiranas and supermarkets, not on Amazon or D2C websites. This realization completely transformed Jouleshealth, and as soon as they started working with pan-India distributors to get their products into retail refrigerators across the country, their business started picking up. But one feedback that they kept getting from distributors was that 100 rupees, which is what they were charging for their products back then, was too expensive for a lot of consumers in Tier 2 and Tier 3 cities. Taking this suggestion to heart, Siddharth and Utkarsh launched a 20 rupees product called ENRGY to cater to as many consumers as possible. Today, Jouleshealth is doing 1.8 crore rupees in revenue a month across the 20,000 stores that they're selling energy drinks in. They're doing upwards of 60 16 lakh rupees in profit every single month, and they've been profitable for the last 3 years. Siddharth told me that he wants to build a sustainable, multi-generational company here, and so with that in mind, he pours every rupee of that profit back into the business. Now, while Jouleshealth was offered money but chose not to take it, this next startup actually walked off the Shark Tank India stage empty-handed, despite the fact that the sharks actually seemed to like their business. So this is India's first premium surprise planner company, Outbox, and it was founded in 2014 by Kaushal Modi and Sukriti Agarwal, and Outbox provides meaningful experiences to its customers that would be challenging to do DIY. For example, private candlelight dinners and extravagant proposals. And when they went on the show, their services were also surprisingly affordable. You could hire Outbox for as little as 3,500 rupees, and the maximum price was just 1.5 lakh rupees. Kaushal and Sukriti were asking for 50 lakh rupees for 5% equity at a 10 crore rupee valuation, and their business was actually pretty impressive. They were profitable, bootstrapped, and doing 1.5 crore rupees in annualized revenue. And also, Sukriti told me that even though this didn't end up getting into the show, it was cut from the episode, Outbox had amazing margins too, and the sharks were really impressed by this. But ultimately, none of them chose to invest in the company, and here's why. Piyush Bansal said that the business wasn't defensible and they would face a lot of competition. And then Aman Gupta piggybacked off of this, saying that it wasn't a scalable business. As soon as Outbox's episode aired, they saw a huge surge in traffic. Their website crashed within 20 minutes and their phones were ringing off the hook for 10 days straight. And they also got a lot of inbound interest from investors, but chose not to raise funds from any of them. And to this day, Outbox is still bootstrapped. They're still profitable, and they believe strongly in organic growth. For FY24, Sukriti told me that they did roughly 5 crore rupees in revenue, and she predicts that they'll hit a valuation of 50 crore rupees in the near future. However, the journey since Shark Tank India hasn't been without its challenges. Kaushal Modi ended up leaving the company for personal reasons, and Sukriti bought his stake when he exited. Since Kaushal's exit, Sukriti has worked hard to revamp the brand on her own with a more focused and premium approach to her surprise planning business. And she's also very much focused on obtaining the scale that the sharks didn't think that she'd be able to achieve, offering less customization to her customers so that she can standardize her offerings across India with consistency. But Outbox isn't the only Shark Tank India startup that had 2 co-founders, but then the male founder exited the business, leaving the female co-founder to build alone. Founded by Duvuru Varshita and Vimal Kumar, VivaLyf presented India with a non-invasive glucometer, EasyLyf, when they went on Shark Tank India. And as a pre-revenue company, they were seeking an investment of 56 lakh rupees for 7.5% equity at a 7.47 crore rupee valuation to continue their R&D, and the sharks were excited about EasyLyf. Piyush Bansal and Anupam Mittal ended up committing the 56 lakh rupees that VivaLyf was asking for, but in exchange for 33.33% equity instead of the 7.5% that Duvuru and Vimal were initially offering. However, when I asked Duvuru if those funds had ended up hitting VivaLyf's bank account, she told me that they hadn't. She said that upon further reflection, she had concerns about whether giving away a third of the company was the right decision or not, especially given the fact that she'd heard from a number of other Shark Tank India founders that the due diligence process extended sometimes beyond 6 months, and some also experienced a lack of communication from the sharks. And this was actually in spite of the fact that during post-show discussions, Piyush was apparently expressing a very strong desire to close the deal, though at times his approach felt a bit assertive, according to Duvuru, and so ultimately VivaLyf walked away from the deal. And it was at this point that things at VivaLyf took a turn, because the global semiconductor shortage hit the company really hard and made it difficult for them to continue their research. What's more, Vimal Kumar ended up deciding to walk away from the business for personal reasons, leaving Duvuru to carry on building VivaLyf on her own. And while the company has raised capital from investors since their Shark Tank India pitch, the details of this round are currently private, and so it's not clear how much money the company has in the bank. But what Duvuru did tell me was that the company is currently on pause right now. She's planning on resuming operations as soon as the semiconductor supply chain stabilizes and conditions improve, and I really hope that they do improve, because this is a product that could really help a lot of Indian people, and really people around the world who are struggling with diabetes. Now, one thing about VivaLyf, and this is true for a lot of companies on Shark Tank India, is that it's a private limited company. A private limited needs to have at least 2 owners and is able to raise venture capital from investors who are added to the company's cap table as shareholders. However, this next Shark Tank India company was a rare instance of a proprietorship. ARRCoat is a company providing eco-friendly, non-toxic architectural finishes. Think of it kind of like an alternative to regular wall paint, which typically contains VOCs, or volatile organic compounds, which generally speaking are not good for you if you inhale them. ARRCoat was founded by Mohammed Iqbal, Kranti Anand, and Saranj Anand in 2020, and they were asking the sharks for 50 lakh rupees for 5% equity, valuing the company at 10 crore rupees. But the sharks got hung up on the company's structure, because while Iqbal was the one who came up with the product, Kranti came in later on as a financier and businessman, yet Kranti owned 100% of the business, and Iqbal of course owned none of it, and was getting 30% of the company's profits as income, plus a fixed salary of 40,000 rupees. And the company did 8 lakh rupees in profit in FY21, meaning that on top of Iqbal's 4.8 lakh rupee annual salary, he took 2.4 lakh rupees in profit share for that financial year. And Aman Gupta even accused Kranti of taking advantage of the situation, because when Iqbal came to Kranti with his invention, he was desperate. He'd been struggling to popularize his product for years, and he needed a promoter with connections and capital. Ultimately, the conversation settled with Anupam Mittal telling the founders that this would all need to be resolved. Obviously, if they were going to be raising capital from the sharks, they need to switch over to a private limited structure, and they did this in 2021 after going on Shark Tank India. Anupam Mittal ended up committing to investing 50 lakh rupees into ARRCoat for 15% equity, and ARRCoat walked off the stage celebrating their successful episode. But as is the case with many Shark Tank India companies, the deal ended up falling through after it was aired. Kranti told me in his own words that we refused it. They even tried to increase the amount, but ground reality was different. So what did he mean by this? Well, it looks like Anupam Mittal really wanted this deal to go through, to the point where he might have actually offered more than the 50 lakh rupees that he committed to on the show. However, ARRCoat's business did pick up significantly after their Shark Tank India episode. From the 77 lakh rupees that they did in FY21, ARRCoat's annual revenue has now increased to 4 crore rupees, and Kranti told me that their annual revenue is in the range of 50 to 70 lakh rupees as well now. And so they realized that giving away 15% ownership to Anupam for just a couple of months of runway for a business that was already thriving and didn't really need external capital just didn't make a lot of sense. However, even though they didn't end up taking Anupam Mittal's money, Kranti did end up taking his advice, registering the company as a private limited, which he owns 40% of. 30% of the business is owned by his wife, and the remaining 30% is owned by Iqbal. Thanks so much for watching. Check out the rest of our ongoing Shark Tank India Aftermath series up here to find out what happened to other companies that went on the show, and I'll catch you in the next one.